Hi everyone, this is Nikki K and welcome to a sort of special episode because today I'm going to be talking about the solar eclipse which is happening in Sagittarius on the 4th of December. Now this solar eclipse is at 12 degrees and it's going to affect all the mutable signs from Pisces, Gemini, Virgo and Sagittarius, obviously, who are at 12 degrees. So it's like mid. Yes, it's like second decan of the mutable signs. But generally, all the mutable signs it will affect. It will benefit the fire signs like Leo and Aries very much. It will, the earth signs, it won't really, it won't benefit, but it won't be too much of a hassle, should I say. But, mostly the mutable signs are going to be pushed out into the forefront for one last time. So this is the last solar eclipse in Saggy that we have seen in the Sagittarius and Gemini axis. We're not going to see this axis until the next 18 years. And what a time this has been, guys. Remember, this eclipse has been from more or less the beginning of the pandemic, which happened last year in May 2020. So, these signs, it does bring things to do with like writing and short and long distance travel. There was also a lot of information that was in the media and also some misinformation. There have definitely been some changes between now. For the past 18 months there's been a lot of changes, and there was also laws that were put in place, especially like in the publishing world, churches. There was also truths that were brought out. Let's not forget cancel culture, which was actually, I think some of us can all agree was a little bit, some of it was, I wouldn't say some of it was you should have happened, but, it's all about balance. But, Sagittarius does rule going overboard. So there's a lot of that going overboard. Also the media has played a huge part in what is real and what is not real. And, maybe we can blame a bit of Neptune because it was squaring Neptune. When we had the Gemini solar eclipse, Neptune was involved. So there was a little bit of a madness, especially when it came to things like travel. Travel was mad. But we also learnt a hell of a lot. And we really had to. This was also a time for us to see what we could actually do for ourselves. So doing for ourselves as in learning new skills. Whether it was to do with like technology, taking a new course. Whether it's to do with like contracts. There was also, and also some of us actually managed to do too many things at once as well. Whether you're watching TV and on the internet, you're writing a thesis, you're writing a book, there's a lot that people actually did. And there was probably also a lot of excitement while people were doing this too. So, during this time, especially some of you went back to college, went back to do higher learning, doing a course, decided to study things to do with like the law, study anything that was, far away, meeting up with people that were from different cultures as well from yourself, picking up new skills in general. So, and also finding like mentors and spiritual gurus. Some of you actually probably went back to learning, going back to a spiritual practice that sort of faded away from the past 18 years. Even like our belief systems has definitely changed. It could have been quite awful, the belief system, or it could have been actually great. You know, it was a time for a lot of us to try to believe in something that was quite positive, something that we could learn from. So, you know, so some of us, it's no surprise that a lot of us sought out gurus, whether it's obviously on the internet, because the internet played a huge part from the last 18 months. So a lot of us were actually trying to find ourselves. So, 18 months really was something else, and it was good and bad. It wasn't, it wasn't really one way or the other. It was just like a bit of a mixture. So on December the 4th, we have the solar eclipse in Saggy, and, Sagittarius, which is a great adventurer. Like I said, it's in 12 degrees. And this eclipse is in the second decan, which in the tarot card is the 9 of Wands, which shows us that although we have come through a lot, whether we're, battered or bruised, being very defensive, we also can still, because the 9 of Wands, when you see that card, it's very much oh, look at that person, I feel sorry for them, even though they got their head bandaged up and they've been through it all, but you're still holding on to the wand. So that shows like the strength and determination. So it also shows that we're still not to be messed around with. But before we rush into the dust, we have to really look at where, and also that card is also about, yes, it's defensiveness, and it's showing us that we are very strong, but it's also, we're still quite weary as well of what is next to come, but we're still standing our guard. So some of the major themes for, this solar eclipse is definitely like inclusion and exclusion. Inclusion, not exclusion. Inclusion and diversity. The law and what matters to us the most. It's also about us looking forward to the future. And, as always, Gemini and Saggy, it's all about, learning and asking questions. So there's going to be a lot of like asking questions between now and the next 6 months, as well as what we are learning and what we have learned from the last 18 months. I was actually going to say the last 18 years, but even so, guys, you can still think about the last 18 years as well. With this, when I looked at the chart of this, we have the moon and the sun in Mercury, in Saggy, which can really get very explosive. It is a time that we definitely can be very open-minded and willing to learn and take on new skills, new types of learning, and also take action when it's needed. It feels like it's going to be more, especially like December. December's more Saggy month for me. And whenever the sun goes into Sagittarius, it feels like things are just going to be a bit more open. And with the solar eclipse, it feels like things are going to be a bit more, it's going to appear that it's very much freedom loving. We can actually feel or think that we can actually do what we want. We're going to go to that arrow. We're going to blast that arrow very high and know that we're going to aim for it as well. So it's about thinking of our future. It's definitely about thinking of our future. And the moon is very much like, the moon being in Sagittarius, it's about emotions. So, and also we have the rising sign with this chart in Sagittarius too. So there definitely can be like differences of views, talking about, opinions about what's right and wrong. Yes, there can be some preachy attitude, because that's one of the, you can say, the downsides of being a Sagittarius. I say it's more of the shooting from the hip, like not thinking of anyone else's opinion but their own. So there can be a bit of a preachy attitude. And also because we're coming up to Christmas as well, there can be a lot of gossip, communication, meeting up, definitely plans for the future, especially with nice, conversations. And with Mercury, Saturn's also involved as well to a point. Mercury and Saturn, it just it can actually help us learn more and work more and look at our responsibilities and meeting our responsibilities too. It can make some of us quite weary of change, but change is good, but as long as it's thought out. So, you know, and there's a lot to be highlighted during this time as well. So there can be some like controlling of our feelings. On one hand, we can just sprout what we want to say, but on the other hand, there's the element of a theme of like controlling what our feelings are. So, you know, if you're in a relationship, this may be played out. Yeah, so there can be some controlling of our feelings when needed, and also being a bit more serious and finding ways to definitely meet our responsibilities, but not in a boring way. You know, Sagittarius is not about doing the same thing at the same time. It's always looking for another way to meet their responsibilities. So even if they're going to I'll say controversial, even if they're going to a job that is very should we say a conservative, they work somewhere that's very conservative, they've got to be there at the same time. Even if they're late, they always have like a story to tell the boss, something that they've learned, and for some reason they end up getting away with it because they don't want things to be the same. They get bored so easily. So during this next 6 months, we can find ourselves, okay, these are my responsibilities that I have to do, but I'm going to try and find a different way with still meeting my responsibilities. So I know, and also if we like manifest, you know, this is actually a great, you know, during this time, great for manifesting, and as well as putting in the hard work. So whatever we manifest during the next 6 months, as long as we put the hard work in, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else, obviously we can, you know, hard work is a must, but you know, there can be unexpected miracles can definitely happen. On another note, or notes should I say, for this eclipse, although it can be a lot for a lot of us. You know, things may be moving too fast. They could also be a bit too fiery, a bit too much, you know, especially when it comes to like the news, anything to do with, you know, the law, the media, you know, all of these things. There's also like a sneaky feeling, and the sneaky feeling actually comes from Neptune. And Neptune, it's going to be, you know, and it can actually disrupt some of us. Whenever Neptune's involved, it sort of throws things up in the air. So it can be good or bad. And Mercury in Sagittarius with Neptune involved can make us feel quite confused. It can make us feel lost. There can also be like a deceptive energy. You know, what looks like it is actually not. You know, things may not be seen. There can also be a lot of hidden information that a lot of us are not seeing as well, especially when it comes to like making decisions and what we hear from all forms, especially like from social media. This is also includes our friends, our siblings, even like our neighbors. You know, if you're doing Mercury rules short distance travel, so we may have plans into traveling somewhere and it takes a different turn. Okay, we could be speaking to someone about something, and if we find out that it's lies, or we could be speaking to someone, we can hear some information and repeat it back, and afterwards then we get confused about what we said, or people think that we are lying, or what we hear on the outside social media, it could also be lies as well. Neptune also, you know, because it does, you know, Mercury, it squares each other during this time. There could also be like our clarity of thoughts may not all be there. So there could be lots of fog going around, lots of brain fog going around, lots of, I've got these, you've set an intention for the day to meet like responsibilities, to meet up with people, and after you just doze off, you just forget. This could also definitely play with our mental health as well. Neptune does rule like, hypochondriac behavior in a way, paranoia as well, believing something that's wrong with us and it's actually not wrong, but also we can also feel extremely sensitive as well. We may, if we work with the Neptune, which may be hard, this can give us like a thought of like wanting to help others, wanting to, see if we can help people. This can also give us a way that we can, not throw ourselves, but like do something this can actually help us to do something, or try to make us do something that's creative, that can give us an outlook, because things can just get a bit too much. We could get a bit too caught up in what exactly is going on, especially if we believe something's real and it's not. So having like a creative outlook, we should try and have a creative outlook which will obviously help us as well, because when it's with Mercury, and Mercury rules the third house, this can make things very much distorted. So we have to definitely try and look after what's going on in our minds, and doing like meditation, doing some type of spiritual practice, doing like a creative outlet that can help ease the stress. So all these things can actually happen. It may not affect everyone, but this is what when these planets get together, this is what it can do. And like I said before, there can be some conflicted energies as well. There also can be some impulsiveness, not listening to people, because we have Mars, which is in Scorpio. Mars is always, which was traditionally ruled by Scorpio, is actually creeping up. So Mars is like alive and kicking, guys. So this is like one of the main reasons that there can be some tension. There can also be some drama that happens. We could overdo things, and then we'll be forced to pull back. So there's a lot of conflicting energies. On one hand, some of the energies can really definitely benefit and help us, and on the other hand, it can be like so much confusion and so much impulsiveness. And then sometimes we get caught out, or if someone wants us to say what we said, we can just get very defensive. It can cause an argument. It can just be very crazy. But on the whole, if we try and keep grounded, if we try and work on keeping grounded, if we can, this can definitely help us transform in a nice way. And this is only through determination. And, if we try to listen to our intuition, this will definitely guide us well. So I'm going to talk about the tarot for this. So we've got the number 4, which is the Emperor. We have number 3, which is a High Priestess, and the 12, which is 12 degrees, which is the Hangman. So the first one I'll talk about is the Emperor, which is on the 4th of December. So the Emperor is like, during this full moon eclipse, the message here is showing us that we can really come into our power, and there's like a fresh, brand new energy, a brand new energy of happiness, a new beginning. Obviously there can be some clashes, because the old is trying to keep the old, and the new is actually pushing forward. The new is about new beginnings. So there also seems that there can be some order which is restored because of the fast chaos, because the Emperor is about how you are when it comes to highs up, so this is for the solar eclipse. So there is going to be a push for the new, a push for something quite revolutionary. but we are going to be a lot of us. If you're a person that's all about the new, and you are looking forward to a brand new, because we are easing into 2022, know that we're going to meet some resistance. So the young clashes with the old clashes with the young. When it comes to the number 3, which is, because this is 12 degrees, and 1 and 2 adds up to 3. I'll say this is more for like the heart of us. So we have the high priestess, which is about, subconscious, high power. It's very much intuition. This card is about us paying attention to our intuition. It's going to be of most importance during the next 6 months. Endings are definitely happening. And also we'll find that there'll be signs and synchronicities all around us. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So, definitely bringing like a spiritual practice will help us to align like what's going on in our mind and what's going on with our heart. And like I said before, because Neptune is involved, this is going to make it even more important for us to do. When we come to the last card, which is the Hangman, and the Hangman is about, letting go, surrender. It also can be of martyr, because remember Neptune, like I said, Neptune's involved, and the fact that because it's the 12 degrees, which is the Hangman, what we can feel with this, that we can feel like, we can actually definitely feel like the Hangman, being stuck in a rut, undecided on any situation, or we can overcome this as well. This is also a time for us to see the situation and also outside the situation. There can also be a realization about where we want to go in life and where we want to be, and also ask ourselves, are we happy? And if not, what exactly are we going to do about it? So yes, those are the messages from the cards, and it's going to be showing us, especially the messages from the cards, from the Emperor to the High Priestess to the Neptune to the Hangman. This is showing for this eclipse, because these cards are quite conflicting. This eclipse is showing how conflicted that we can be too. On one hand, we are going towards the future. On the other hand, we can be, trying to listen to our intuition. But on the last hand, we can be feeling very stuck. We can be feeling very much like the Hangman, like, do I stay or do I go? There's so much confusion happening. So it's no surprise that these cards are meant to be for the solar eclipse. So, with this solar eclipse, guys, like I said, this is the last one. And I think a lot of us tarot and astrologers will be talking about this. This is going to be, really, because it's the last one into the next 18 years. It's really also about, whatever you envision or want to do or want to be, really go for it. But just know that you are going to meet obstacles and delays. And, the opposite sign to this is Gemini. So if we try to go to like the nice side of like the Sagittarius and the Gemini in working through our issues, working through whatever we need to do in order to get to where we need to get to, if we work through it instead of cutting corners, we can learn so much about ourselves. We can learn so much about how far we've come from the past 18 months. The past 18 months has not been easy for a lot of us. And also it does depend on where these signs, the axes has been in your chart as well. So like the water signs like Cancer, Pisces and Scorpio, these have hit houses that have been very emotional. A lot of you had to really go within, and you needed to go within, because before we had the eclipses, which was in Capricorn and Cancer, which made you go out of yourself. It made you really go out. And now it was time to go in. And sometimes when we're going in, it's not comfortable, even if we are very emotional people. For Cancer, it was the 12th. Pisces, it was the 4th. For Scorpio, it was the 8th. So it was a lot that a lot of us, a lot of the water signs had to deal with. For the earth signs, it was to do with like, for Taurus, it was the second house. For Virgo, it was the 10th house. And for Capricorn, it was the 12th house. 12th. For Capricorn, what was it? No, it wasn't the 12th. No. For Cancer, it was the 6th. Capricorn's the 6th house. So you guys had to work on, like, when it came to like money, your daily routines, your work life, your health, your career. I feel that water and earth signs really had to, put a lot of work in. And obviously it's not going to be ending anytime soon, but because we have the nodes changing, we have the lunar eclipse going in Taurus and Scorpio, you're going to find it a bit more easier now. Even though this lasts for the next 6 months, it's going to linger for the next 6 months. You're still going to find things a bit more easier. You're coming to an end of the road. So wherever these eclipses are in your sign, in your house chart, just know that even though it's a beginning, it's also an ending. And also see it as, I've even though I have been through a lot, I still have learned a lot. This is all about learning. For the air signs, obviously Gemini, this has been in your first house. For Libra, this has been in your 9th house of learning. And for Aquarius as well, you guys have had to, obviously, like, I feel that you guys had to master a lot, but you still made it. I feel that you guys had a bit of a lighter time. Although, yes, there was still some niggling issues that was going on, but still, especially you Aquarius, with it being in your 5th house. This is about fun, so, and with Saturn being there, this just highlighted it even more. So you air signs had it good. When it comes to like the fire signs, Aries, it was your 3rd house. Leo, this was your 11th house. And Sagittarius, this was in your 7th house. There's a lot to do with like relationships and, starting new things when it comes to relationships, when it comes to like your friendships as well. Also when it came to like how you communicate, what you've learned, what skills you've picked up. Some of you probably had new friends come into your life. Some of you had friends leave your life. Some of you had like a huge realization of who you wanted in your life, and that goes for relationships as well. And also when it came to like who you work with in terms of partnerships, and even when it came to what type of skills, some of you Aries, because I'm born on the cusp of Pisces and Aries. I know a lot of you don't believe in cusp. I do. Some of us astrologers do. For me personally, it does make a lot of sense. So I learned a lot of skills at home when it came to like editing and, doing podcasting and, so I learned some skills, put it that way, but also because it's in my 4th house as well, working from home, but also learning skills as well. So on the whole, I think eventually a lot of us, even though it was great for some and it wasn't so great for some of us, we still learned something. And the main thing, we learned something about ourselves. And yes, we made a lot of mistakes along the way because we are human. This is life. We're human. But as long as we learned that, we are human and we're going to make mistakes, and we, some of the things that we probably said to each other, how we communicated with each other may not have been the best. If we said sorry and tried to rectify it, it's going to be a breeze for the next 18 years. And if you are a Saggy and a Gemini and you've really tried to work on yourself, the next 18 years is going to be a breeze. And if you've decided not to and you stayed stuck and you've probably hurt people along the way, then obviously the next 18 years is going to be like a karmatic thing. You're going to be having lots of hurdles that you have to work through in order for you to come out the other side. you know. So I see this Sagittarius lunar eclipse as, you know, the final one of, you know, this year, as a goodbye. You know, I'll see you again in 18 years time. But also we're going to have another eclipse in Sagittarius. Like the North Node's going to go into, is it Sagittarius? Yes, North Node's going to go into Sagittarius in a couple of years time though, you know. But we're going to be revisiting this. Obviously it's going to be very different. But yeah, keep on learning, keep on higher learning, and keep on, you know, trying to be as open as you can, and try to be as optimistic until the next 18 years. So that was my podcast message for the solar eclipse in Sagittarius. I'm going to be doing the tarot cards for all the signs, so check that out on my YouTube page, and also check out my Instagram page as well. I've also put up the December tarot for all the signs, so check that out, guys. So thank you very much, guys, for listening, and feel free to leave a voice message. Tell me how this has gone for you, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.